You needed a team for every show, for every show and every series, and the team for today is not working alone, just like Liverpool. So we're not working alone today, but of course the guy that we're working with is gone already. So it looks like we're going to be working alone. My name is Elijah Adeboali. It's the best show in the whole of the universe. It's News Institute Sports. I have the gang with me today. I have Olawale with me. I have Orakukuchi, and of course I have Sheyi. You guys want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening, sporting fans around the world. Welcome to the show. Oh, sorry, good day. My bad. Sporting fans around the world, welcome to the show. We have a lot to discuss. Like Debo said, the theme of the show today is not working alone. But I keep asking myself, the guys at Brooklyn, are they not working alone? What's really happening in Brooklyn? A lot of drama over there. I keep asking myself, at what point do they get it wrong? I think Kachi will have a lot to say on the show because on this. Welcome once again, listeners.
All right, perfect, Sheyi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Very sure you had a fantastic weekend, especially the huge bomb dropped by Cristiano Ronaldo over the weekend. Hopefully, he gets to stay at Manchester United. Just speaking as a Manchester United fan. Welcome, everyone.
All right, perfect. Orakukuchi.
Sports fans, let me first take this opportunity to wish both our Canadian and listeners from the United States a very happy National Day celebration. Hope you guys walked the grill and got a lot of food into your system, because you will need all the energy to digest everything we will discuss about NBA. Free agency season is off the charts. And big kudos to Lewis Hamilton. In spite of a very wonky Mercedes car, he was able to get on the podium in the last two races. All this you will get to hear about. Stay tuned for a good one.
All right, perfect. And the man that brought about the team, the man not working alone, Olayinka.
Hi, guys. It was a fantastic round of 16 men's singles match at the Wimbledon tournament, where two next generation players, Jannik Sinner, 20 years of age, and Carlos Alcaraz, 19 years of age. They had a wonderful match. And, at the end of the day, Alcaraz, Sinner prevailed. It's great to be here. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best show in the world.
All right, perfect. Airing on our band radio scope, and of course on our YouTube channel. Stream us on Spotify, and of course on your Apple podcast or any other podcast that you use. We're gonna be there showing you the way in the sporting world. Anyways, we're gonna be jumping straight. You know where we start from? Usually we start from the basketball world, where we have a trade request by KD rocking the whole of the universe over the week. And of course, Kyrie doing everything after his trade and sign deal, doing everything possible to drive himself to LA. And of course, like I told Kachi, I said the Lakers are throwing away a garbage, and the Lakers are going to be taking in a baggage. That's the team, and that's apt, and just that's how to see it. But of course, we'll start with KD. This project was built around KD, gave his word, signed, took off a whole year trying to nurse him back to an healthy state. Everything looks good, actually. I brought in Kyrie. James Harden was convinced one way or the other. James Harden was not happy with the way Kyrie handled, the way KD handled Kyrie. Left for the 76ers. They got another trash or baggage in from the 76ers in the person of Ben Simmons. Everything looks muddy. And of course, off-season, Kyrie wants to leave one way or the other. Well, anyhow, anyway, he wanted to leave. And of course, that is potentially in the bag. But what nobody saw coming was the fact that KD will put in a trade. At least I didn't see that coming. He will put in the trade request. Everybody thought, okay, even if Kyrie leaves, the team's going to still be built around him. More guys will come in probably, and everything will look all rosy. Kachi, I'm going to start with you. The Nets are currently working with KD to look for the best options where they will get the best out of this deal. Celtics, the Heat, as of today, the Toronto Raptors, everybody's talking of the deal. If they could get him, if they get him in the trade move. But what do you think informed KD's decision to think about leaving this deal on the table with the Nets, potentially leaving his dignity as a person, because your word is your bound, right? Mm-hmm. And if you are leaving that on the table as well, says a lot about you as a person. I know people say don't put emotions, but of course your word is your bond. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm gonna start with you.
Thanks, Debo. I think we should have seen this coming. We probably just never thought it would get to that. I believe, I personally, and this is my opinion, listeners and viewers, I believe what has informed this is the fact that Kyrie wields a very big influence over Kevin Durant. As sad and as impossible as it sounds, I think over the course of this show, we've always talked about how all KD wants to do is to shoot hoops, and he doesn't really care what happens with the intangible side of basketball, leadership, accountability, being responsible for actions and decisions. He just wants to be put in a situation where he can play basketball. Unfortunately, Kyrie is smarter than a whole lot of people think he really is. I think he's been able to get into KD's head. And I think he was able to let KD know that even though I opted into my trade, because I can't leave 30 million out there, I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
My intention is to leave this dump fire called the Brooklyn Nets. And I think that played heavily into KD's decision to ask for a trade. Now, how I see this ultimately is eventually nobody should put KD and LeBron James in the same conversation, simply because mentally KD is very, very weak. He's easily swayed. A lot of emotions come into his decision making. He really doesn't think beyond the emotion part of business or part of a decision. He doesn't think about the business side. He doesn't think about the reputation side, the legacy side of it. And I think that's what Kyrie, and big credit to him, because he's a great puppet master. And I think KD unfortunately becomes his puppet. Now, one thing that should be said is anybody that gets KD knows they are getting a great deal, because he just 100%. Signed a 4-year deal. If they get him, they know they are getting him for at least 3 out of those 4 years. But to answer your question, I think what impacted, what reflects that, or what led to that, is Kyrie's influence over KD. Wow. Yes, Kyrie is the little brother, but I think Kyrie is smarter. I think Kyrie was able to convince him that I'm not staying. There's no way. In fact, the last thing I heard from Woj was that they both still have plans to play together. They just don't want to do it
right away
in Brooklyn. How that will work, I don't know, because it will take you promising heaven to get Kyrie only. But if you want to get Kyrie and KD, you will promise heaven, you will promise earth, you will give your mother, you will give your mother's younger sister, you will give your younger sister's son, potential son, a way to get 2 of them. So right now, potentially, I don't see how that will work. But to answer your question, I think what led to it is Kyrie's influence over KD.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Kachi. I know you probably have a better question than I do. So whatever I'm wrong, just correct me, okay? Olale, I'm going to come to you now. Kyrie wants to move to LA by fire, by force. Either way, whatever way option. KD on his own side, like Kachi rightly said, we did not see this coming, but it was a huge possibility, right? Where do you think would be the best place? I know we said we spoke about this last week, but last week it was still in the embryo. Now the baby has developed a little bit. He's a 6 months pregnancy right now, whether we like it or not. It's going to be difficult for them to abort the pregnancy right now, but it's still possible. So potentially, what would be the best place? Lot of talks up, but what would be the best place for KD to move on to? And number two question to you is, number two question is, should KD continue in this fashion, given the weak links or the weak futures that Kachi outlined?
Now let me start from the first question about where is the best is it best fit for KD?
Yes, best fit for KD.
Now, okay, good. Now, for me, I think I rather want to answer your question from the Brooklyn point of view. I think if I were the Brooklyn Nets, I will not probably decline KD's request, but I'll probably look for the best deal for myself. At this point, there is no deal that the Brooklyn Nets will win from. Like people will always say, two teams hardly wins a trade. Two teams hardly wins a trade. And not talk of when it now comes to somebody losing a generational talent. There is no package that anybody can present for the Brooklyn Nets today that will equal to losing a KD, except they are getting another top talent back. So at this point, I think it's a great loss for the Brooklyn Nets, and I think they should do what is best for them. And they have the advantage. They can decide not to trade KD because he still has 4 years left on his contract, which means the ball is in their court. And if they are going to trade him eventually, they should look for the best deal. They shouldn't listen to KD to like what KD wants. And there's some potential problem even in this trade. Yeah, there's some potential problem in this trade because of what do you call it? Ben Simmons being on the Brooklyn roster is on a rookie year contract extension. There are some players that Brooklyn Nets cannot trade for. They say you can't have those two kind of players traded into your team. There's a Devin Booker that is on a rookie year extension. So unless the Brooklyn Nets trade, what do you call it, Ben Simmons out, and there's a Bam Adebayo too, who is on a rookie year extension too. And if you look at KD's top 2 requests of teams that he wanted to move to, these 2 teams are part of it. And if any one of those boys are not part of the what Brooklyn is going to get back, I'm not sure they need to listen to him. He still has 4 years left on his contract. The ball is in your court. I'm not sure KD can afford to sit down a whole year, not at this stage of his career. So, for me, the Brooklyn Nets should take their time, look for the best trade for themselves, not for KD at this point in time, because KD has not done anything to help the organization. Rather, he has put them in a very difficult position with his decision to leave now. So, for me, they need to look for the best that will be good for them, not for him.
And where do you think that will be?
Well, depending on the package any other team puts forward to them.
Celtic?
If the Pelicans are ready to
it is the Pelicans.
If the Pelicans are probably ready to give up with Zion Williamson, they can take Zion Williamson and some other this thing. Or if it is the
New York Clips. LA Clips. LA Clips.
Or if the Pelicans are ready to let go of
Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball,
CJ McCollum,
Lonzo Ball, and the Lakers first round draft pick.
Lonzo Ball and exactly.
Yes.
Either of the two, either Zion Williamson or the other side of the package. That is what I think the Brooklyn Nets should take. Now, on the fact that whether KD should continue like this, KD is already 33, if am I wrong, Kachi? Is
No, you're
it
not.
33 going to
33,
34.
33.
You're spot
It's
on.
33 going to 34?
Yeah.
You're spot
So
on.
something at this stage, I think it is very clear to everybody within the NBA community that KD is as much as talented as he is not that guy when it comes to when you want to establish a culture for an organization. KD is not that guy. See, basketball is a team sport, but if there is one team sport that have this individuality about it, in terms of your superstar, in football, your superstar might not be the role model, might not be the most vocal person in your team. You might probably not need it. When Messi was at Barcelona, he's not the emotional leader. He's not part of the most, what would I call it? The most
The 4-4 leaders.
Loudest voice.
Yeah,
Yes.
loudest
you understand? We've seen that in most teams, that most best players then just want to do their thing because the team is so big that you could have many other guys to do that. But this is not the same thing in basketball. Your best player is always his actions, his personality
reflects
is
on the
always
team.
exactly to always reflect on your team. So I think at this stage you can't change KD. He is who he is, and that is why I think on his part it is probably very smart for him to request a trade to Phoenix, where he doesn't need to be, what do you call it, the leader.
Emotional leader.
The organization is well set. There's a Chris Paul there who's going to make sure guys do what they're supposed to do. Miami Heat, the organization is very strong. They are going to focus. The organization will be in charge of what people do.
Happens. Yeah.
KD can just focus on playing basketball. But I think at this stage, the last thing any organization will do is to take KD and Kyrie. And for Kyrie, like you said, LA is what do you want? They are throwing away their garbage or something and taking.
Yeah, they were taking away garbage and taking on a baggage.
Taking on the baggage.
You're actually right. But on the part of Kyrie, I think the only person that can control, that can manage Kyrie's situation to an extent now is LeBron James. That is just, and I think the Brooklyn Nets on the part of Kyrie doesn't really have much leverage. He only has 1 year left on his contract. They'll probably take whatever anybody gives to them. But I think they have leverage on the part of KD. And for KD, it's so obvious that the best place for KD now, the best place for KD ever was probably the Golden State Warriors that he left. He is not that guy. KD acts like a Twitter warrior, but in real time, because for me, what I was expecting from KD is for them to run it at least for this year. Old guys accountable. Talk to Ben Simmons. Talk to Kyrie. Make sure you guys are on the same page. You can't take it, because this whole decision of me wanting to leave, like Kachi said, is because that my little brother, that is the one controlling me, was hurt because the Brooklyn Nets are not offering him the contract extension he desires based on his actions in the past. So it's a whole mess, and I think the Brooklyn Nets, for me, should do what is good for them.
All right, perfect. Olayiga, I'm just going to ask you one question just before we move on to other things. Why are we not considering KD going back to the Golden State Warriors? Why is that not playing? Why is it not in the equation at all? And or going to the Dallas Mavericks? Kachi, I know you have something to say about it. I'll give you 2 seconds to say something. And I'll give you 20 seconds. After of course.
Okay. I mean, it's so interesting. It's so interesting when the players an embarrassment of choices on where to go to at such an advanced stage. Let me put it like that. At the age of 33, there's a lot of controversy about where this talented guy called Kevin Durant should end up with. Well, talking about the Golden State, I'm sure he will not want to go back there because to a large extent, he left under acrimonious conditions, and he's a very sensitive guy. and you can always tell from his personality, especially when he's giving interviews, is someone that he gets quite emotional at times. And the truth of the matter is, wherever it's going to end will be where he's going to be made happy. And we're not, a lot of pundits, we're not taking a certain option into consideration, going to LA Clippers. I mean, combining with a Kawhi Leonard is something that I believe that can work. You understand?
Yeah.
And for that to happen, that means Paul George will need to go in the opposite direction. And I don't think that will break the bank for the LA Clippers team. And guess what? KD is a winner. And I mean, going to the LA Clippers might give him the opportunity to give the Clips their first ever title. I believe I stand to be corrected. So I think a Kawhi Leonard KD combination could turn wonders, although Kawhi might not be the player we knew as of 3 years ago. Then you spoke about the Dallas Mavericks. Yes. KD is going to be the top shot there. He's going to be the head honcho when he's going to be the top guy when he gets there. But I don't think he wants to go to such a team that they don't potentially. They have the great Jovic, right?
Mm-hmm.
KD Jovic combination, yeah. It could work wonders, but I think
it wants to go to Portland. Okay, continue.
Portland Trailblazers, there's Dylan.
Yeah.
Are they ready to push Dylan Lillard? Damian Lillard. Are they ready to push him out? Because right now he's there today and their future. So I think it'll be tough. Yeah, is the now and the future of that team. So I think obviously LA Lakers is going to be out of it. I believe it's going to be out of it.
Yeah.
For KD, but for Irving, because of his past relationship with the King James, they were at Cavs together.
It was riding with LeBron over the week.
Yes.
Through the street of Los Angeles. So yes. it just goes to tell you something.
They had their difference in Cavs.
They came to attend Kevin Love's wedding. The old Cleveland Cavaliers teammates. So
okay.
Yeah.
Although they had a slight issue at Cavs, but I mean they made up, and I think Ivan might end up in Lakers, but not Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant will probably go to any other team apart from Lakers.
Okay.
Warriors and what have you.
Perfect. Kachi. Why would not putting Golden State Warriors to the equation? The Dallas Mavericks to the equation as well. Why would not talking about them for KD?
For KD, the reason why the Warriors are not there is because the relationship bridge was burnt.
Broken.
Right. KD, like every single analyst here from Olawale to Olaika has mentioned, is he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And we know right now that the emotion and the whole chatter that is going on now is that the Warriors have been able to win a chip without KD. They did it before he joined. They've done it after he joined. He is too emotional that he cannot swallow the humble pie and come back, especially with all the most valuable podcaster editions of so I think because the proverbial relationship bridge has been burnt, we can definitely rule out the Warriors.
Okay.
Or secondly, it's because the Warriors right now, I think they paid the luxury tax. This last Warriors team, that they were the most expensive at $184.5 million, are well above the salary cap. So they cannot accommodate that 4-year extension. For the Mavs, and that's a very interesting take. I did not consider the Mavs simply because I thought Jalen Brunson was going to remain. But now that Brunson has moved to the Knicks, it's an interesting proposition.
I think
However, what will make it difficult is we need Luka Doncic rather to change his game because he's heavily ball dominant. He needs to become more of a distributor if a KD is going to thrive there. They are both elite shooters. There will be a clash of styles. I think that's probably the only thing.
The problem will
and
be.
I don't know if Jason Kidd can make it work because Jason Kidd I think is better than Steve Nash. Don't get me wrong. But
Since that is not a coach.
but Jason Kidd is not Popovich. Somebody said something that maybe there's one, and I want to put that out there before I pass it on to Olawale, that there's probably one thing the Brooklyn Nets can do that will make KD stay. It is right now, we know the Spurs are rebuilding because they recently traded their point guard to the Celtics, right? So they've entered full rebuilding mode. And Greg Popovich is the grandfather of the NBA. He should not, at his age, be going through another rebuilding. Can't the Nets do everything they can to bring Popovich to Brooklyn?
To Brooklyn and get that one last push.
And just get a last push of established stars and see if it will work.
What you just said now, I think is what Kelvin White, not the Greg Popovich thing. He said if it was Joe Tsai, he's going to call KD into the room and say, what do we need to do for you to remain in this organization?
Okay.
Which I think, well, like for me too, I think that is because I think the Brooklyn Nets has an advantage here. You can't easily give up for a player that is still under contract for 4 years.
Yes.
Knowing that you might likely not get, what do you call it, any
good
big thing in
return.
return. Because I think all this KD asking for trade is just because his little brother is not happy. And the little brother would rather want the whole place to be burnt than his ego.
Be bruised.
Exactly, be bruised. So I think they need to, at least for one more time, let him realize what can we still do. If bringing Greg Popovich will be one of those things, they can actually, yes, I agree with you. They can give him back, but are you really sure Greg is interested in this kind of project?
I don't know. I'm only saying.
So
it's only only for them to make the proposition. Anything can happen.
Yeah, okay, they can do that, and at least they should try to make it work. Because I think if it's for 1 year, after 1 year, everybody can be going whatever they want to do. But I think the Brooklyn Nets, they have the advantage. They need to make use of the advantage.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Olawale. Sheyi, I'm going to come to you. Moving to the Wimbledon Open straight. Last week, I apologize. We were talking about Serena Williams as a possible winner for this. No, sorry, not possible winner. We said semi-finalist for it. And like we've seen over and over again, this side of tennis is just not so. It's not something you can put your money on. You can't put your money on anybody. Iga, we thought, would be a potential finalist. Now everybody's talking about pushing up Serena Alep to be the champion. We don't even know, what I don't even know what question to ask. Honestly,
what is happening with the women? What is happening? What is happening with women tennis?
Thank you very much, because I don't understand what to say. You can't even talk about anybody and be like, okay, this one is a banker. Nobody.
But to be sincere, I think everybody will still be asking the same question: what is happening with women tennis? We've seen over the years where you can actually pick like 2 or 3 dominant players in the women category. But this time around, the last maybe like 2 to 3 years, it has been all over. And our favorite from Australia that decided to retire actually put us in a more what's it called? A bigger dilemma.
Exactly.
Because come to think about it, she became a dominant force towards the end of last year, and everybody was actually looking at her being the queen of the court, and decided to retire. We were expecting something, maybe just something not so bad from Serena coming in, but obviously we should have thought about that better. Serena is old at the moment. She has been out of the court for a long time. So that's really, for me, it wasn't a shock, but I didn't expect her to go out in the first round.
Exactly. I thought she was going to chance those kids.
Iga Swiatek was, happened to be the next lady on the block that we've been cheering for. lost again in the round, I think round third.
Yeah, third round.
It-
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
right now, I think the female category, just let us sit down, enjoy the good tennis, and let's hope that the likes of Radakanu
Yeah.
starts
Simona
actually
Halep.
giving us what
Give
we
us some.
actually expect to
Just
see.
give us something. We'll be happy with it.
Exactly, just give us
That's a
something.
waste. That's why it stands
Naomi
right now.
Osaka seemed to have disappeared.
Naomi is a model. Naomi is not a tennis player.
It is a model. Oh, goodness.
One
Naomi is
shocking thing for me is the fact that the era of the American domination is over in both the men and the women's versions. When you look, when I was looking at the round of 16 matches for the women played so far, I didn't see any American. I know one or two American. The lady that beat Golf,
Sorry, no.
Yeah,
Coco Golf,
Yeah.
is still she's still in the round of 16. I mean, and when you look at the men, I mean, I don't think there are more than 2 or 3 Americans.
I think they still have Taylor Freeze there, right? In the
Yes,
male version.
that's what I'm saying. They don't have more than 1 or 2. I can remember years back, maybe 20 years back or 15, you're always guaranteed to have 4 Americans, even though none of them might end up getting to the
Winning,
final.
of
But
course.
you always find at least 4 of them in the round of 16. So things are changing. Other countries are really coming up with great players. And I think for the women's edition this year, we're going to have a surprise winner.
Okay.
We're gonna have a
Okay.
surprise winner.
Who do you think the surprise now will be, Lion? I'm going to put the question to you right there and there. I know I'm putting you on a tight spot, but I will just ask you.
Oh my God. Okay, there's this Jabois. She's Ons Jabois. She's the 3rd seed for this tournament, and I wouldn't say she has been cruising, but she's been showing signs of someone who is ready to clinch our first Grand Slam.
What about Helena?
Yelena, oh, Yelena will always be a contender any day, anytime. But I think these young kids, these young ladies, I think they're probably they're going to be too strong for her. They're going to be too strong for her to handle. Because I mean, they're all tenacious. I see a lot of tenacity in these young ladies
Kids
playing this year's Wimbledon. So I'm putting my money on it that we have a new winner.
All right. Perfect. Kachi, I'm gonna jump straight to you. You know my boy, right? My 19-year-old boy. You know, I know you're going to beef me for saying that, but of course, I'm old enough to be his father.
His grandfather.
Not grand, his father. He actually lost. But do you still have hope of the upward trajectory for the young kid?
Absolutely. And not just me. I mean, I think I watched a few, 2 sets in the game he lost against Sinner, and you could hear even the analysts and the commentators saying, "Yeah, he can only go up. He can only get better. He's." Yes, we know that the other guys, the biggest champions of this world at his age, had already won a Grand Slam. So, and these same people still have a strong chokehold in the men's side of the game. However, you can see big improvements. We know his strongest suit is the clay court, but for him I think this is his first Grand Slam in Wimbledon. I'm not too sure, but I don't think he played as a wildcard before. And he got to the 3rd round. It can only get better than that. I think Alcaraz is a champion. As a matter of fact, one of the commentators was put on the spot to say, how many Grand Slams do they think Alcaraz will eventually win by the end of his career? And he came out to say 20.
Wow.
So that's how much trust other people who have watched him in close quarters believe he has the potential to. And I sincerely think he does. I might read you now, but it's not because I think it's a far-fetched theory. I think it's the real deal. And in the next year or two, when the knees of Nadal cannot hold up anymore, and the knees of Djokovic cannot hold up anymore, and all they do is play exhibition tennis, Alcaraz will be the one we'll be talking about.
All right, perfect. Before we go on to the UFC, Sheyi and Olayinka, I'm gonna come to you for that. Olale, your brother cannot stop bullying people in the Wimbledon Open. Did in the first round, did in the second round, now did in the third round. Of course, you know your people in the UK. They were so pained, so embarrassed. They were embarrassed and they were so unhappy because the first person that happened to was Anderson, who happens to be their home kid.
British boy.
Yeah, the British boy. But now it was Tsitsipas. He eventually won, but in the name of fairness and equity, it was fine in the long run. Do you think these kind of things should be acceded to, or there should be a way to curb this guy from bullying people, shouting at them, shouting at the umpires, and behaving as if this kid has not even won Grand Slam in his life? He has atrocious skills. He has everything going, and I'm talking about what's his first name?
Nick Kyrgios, yes.
Kyrgios. Just so you know, because I just mentioned your brother. I'm sorry about that. the Australian, you know, there should be a way to curb this, because this guy seems, it looks like him and Alexander Zverev are the only black child right now in male tennis. Everybody have their own problem. I'm not doubting that, but it seems to be the dark child, that problem child that causes problem every time.
You need this kind of story now. You need this kind of story in every sport. Everybody cannot be the same. As long as he has not committed he has not violated any rules.
He violated rules.
Of course. People
fined.
call, is it not today that it's yes, and he has paid his fines. So what else do you guys want?
So we should leave it like that. Don't worry.
I know it like that.
I know you're a rude person, Alice. So I'm not surprised. That's why I said it's your brother. All right, perfect.
Everybody will not be that good child.
All right, perfect.
So I think it's fine. Let's see.
All right, perfect. All right, guys, I'm gonna come to you and Sheyi. I'm gonna come to you guys simultaneously. Israel Adesanya, as far as I'm concerned, he has not lost any UFC match. For me, I know they say 23 won, but he went up his division to go and fight against that bully, and the bully defeated him, you know, by split decision or whatever, you know. But the way he came out, the entrance, the grand entrance, like Undertaker, they said that is the best entrance in the history of UFC. Nigerians, we just like to do it, and when we do it big. Whether it's fraud, whether it's tech, whether it's sport, whatever it is that we do it big, and we do it well. How proud were you? Like, I'm going to start with you, with that entrance and the comfort of Israel Adesanya winning that match, and you know, and I know it's partly an Australian, but I'll take
New
it.
Zealand
New Zealand boy. I know he's partly the New Zealand, but I'll take him, and I'll take him wholeheartedly. How proud were you with the way he came in, and the aura, and the bold moves, and the way he finished up the match itself? I'm going to start with you, Shey.
Yes, that was an entrance that nobody expected, and given the fact that the Undertaker is one of the best ever wrestlers I've ever seen, because I also watch wrestling, I was inspired when I saw him. He even carried that can, that metal can that the Undertaker usually carries, or used to carry in his early days. And it was a grand entrance. Everybody was hot. Everybody was pumped up. He was pumped up. Everybody expected UFC 276 to be another awesome and exciting tourney. And they did not fall our hands, as they would say. I mean, the fighters. Israel Adesanya came into the fight 22-1 at that point in time. And with the only loss, like you pointed out, being to a heavier guy in a heavier weight. And he came with a game plan. Which was to feint jab, because he's quite taller than his opponent. He was, and he still is taller than his opponent. And we've always known Jared Cannonier to be a tank, a punching tank.
Yeah,
and
the big one.
Israel the last style bender, knew that what he had to do was just keep him at bay, use his strong technical and willingness. He's a wily person. It does not, once he sees that you are someone that is superior to him in an aspect, it does not stay long in that aspect. He refused to allow his opponent to actually get into clinches with him. And anytime he did, he was always blocking all the knees of his opponent with his thighs. And he took advantage of his superior height and reach. And I saw some kicks that if I've been kicked, I'm telling you, I would have gone down immediately. Adesanya is such a strong guy. I think he has dominated the middleweight class, the 185 kilogram class. There's nobody else. Although before we started this call, Sheyi mentioned the Ferreira guy. But I don't think anybody is in the class of Adesanya again in the middleweight. And what is left for him is just to move up to the next level.
All right, perfect. That question was not for you, like Sheyi. What next for Israel Adesanya?
Okay. Let me just also comment about the ring walk of Adesanya. I think that was spectacular. Also, I think Adesanya being a very stylish person, such thing, it shouldn't come as a surprise actually, because it was such a stylish way, to have a ring walk before your bout. So kudos to him for that. It was really the talk of the whole internet. Talking about what's next for Adesanya. Olayinka mentioned Pereira, but he favors the decision of Adesanya moving up a weight, a division above the middleweight. But I would like to say, I think if he does that, it will always be in his record that he tried to avoid the only person that has beaten him twice. I would rather advise him to wait for Pereira. The guy already defeated him twice, not just once, even though that was in a kickboxing bout. But you will always, always follow Adesanya. It's always there because whenever they are promoting Alex Pereira at the moment, they mentioned that that's still the only person that has defeated Israel Adesanya twice. And I think that's a stain on his record. So I'd rather he clears that in the middleweight, in the MMA once and for all. After that, he can now probably take the jump. I'm confident that he's going to beat the guy because the guy is new in MMA. The guy has a record of 7 bouts, 6 wins and 1 losses, which also shows that this guy is not going to be a pushover. So that's going to actually be like a potential money-making bout for him, and also like a grudge fight for Adesanya. We know that he's bored right now. You cannot, he's bored. But I think that is actually what he's waiting for. He needs to cross that dot that high in the middleweight before he jumps to the lightweight division.
Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Sheyi, for that. Just before we go on a short break, Kachi, just a question for you before we go. How do we share Drake's 1 million winning money? A bet it staked $1 million. It won $1 million off this.
Yes, he called it a light $1 million. But he said something. He said he knows that Israel Adesanya is a guaranteed return on investment. Wow. So I think because of that confidence, Drake should throw a watch party in Toronto, downtown Toronto, with the winning money. They should keep his 1 million and just use the winning money to just throw a watch party for the Sikhs to enjoy. It was great. It was great watching Israel do his thing. I'm also of the opinion that I should move up a weight class, but I totally agree with Sheyi that you don't want that what if to be there. If you are going to be called one of the best pound for pound, you need to cancel all doubts. And if it means fighting Pereira, then let's enjoy that.
Let's have that.
It'll
All
be
right.
sorry, it'll be tough for him to fight Pereira because Pereira is the 18th ranked. So it might not be profitable, fight for the organizers. But let's wait and see.
They will talk it up, don't worry. All right, we'll go on a short break right now. When we come back, we'll be jumping into the footballing world where we have so much action. I don't want to talk about 10 ag, 20 ag today, but we don't have a choice. We start with Frankie de Jong. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so we look at it. I'm like, okay, 1 minute, fee has been agreed, 65 million pounds. Next minute is 70 million pounds. Next minute, they don't even have a personal agreement yet. And you're wondering what exactly is wrong with United. I can tell you for free what is wrong with them. I know there are a lot of experts on the seat, but I can still voice my opinion. They've been bad spenders over the past couple of years. Spent over £1 billion on players with no return apart from Europa Cup and I think a Carling Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they are trying to weigh their options and spend right. But when you have a gem like Frankie de Jong that can actually help you stabilize your midfield, with the exit of Paul Pogba, who left more doors than settlement before he left Old Trafford, you should go for it. That's just my own opinion. You should go for it, even if you want £350,000 every week. Go for it. It's going to improve you one way or the other. But of course, I need to sample your opinion. I don't know where to start from, but I'm going to start with Olale on this one. Olale, Frankie, why is it so difficult to get this deal done once and for all? At the point, we had £250 million being touted as the transfer fund for our homeboy Ten Hag, and at another point it was 150. Now it's £100 million being touted for him. But even for £65 million in this market that we have today, Frankie is a steal for £65 million. In my own humble opinion,
I quite agree with you from that point of view, but you have to understand the situation at Old Trafford. I think the reason why these transfers, let me say, drags so long and it's becoming boring and uninteresting. By the time you stay hearing the same thing every day after day,
exactly,
has been agreed, is the bonus side that needs to be structured. I think a couple of things, we need to list some couple of things straight here. Number one, like you rightly said, United they put themselves in a bad position over the years. You could recall there was a year when Ed Woodward was having this video conferencing call with with the investors. He said we can do what a lot of teams can do in the transfer market. We can do what a lot of teams can do in the transfer market, which probably made a lot of teams realize United have the money to spend, and they've spent poorly in the last few years on a lot of transfers. Yeah. So they are trying to correct that, and probably starting from this transfer is a wrong. This particular one is the wrong place to start because this is your coach Maki signing. This is the guy that will define what his team is going to look like. I'm not saying Frankie de Jong will certainly just solve the United problem, but Frankie de Jong will solve United transition problem, which is a big issue because United because immediately, I'll tell you something for a fact. If you look at the Nigerian national team of old, a JJ Okocha makes a lot of people better. Even when he plays nonsense, his presence on the pitch makes a lot of people better. Yeah. I think that's what Frankie de Jong will do. Frankie de Jong will make the jobs of people like Bruno Fernandes,
McTominay,
even the Rashford, the Sancho of this, even McTominay, because United don't have anybody that can transit the ball from the back to the forward. So I think that it's a challenge. The other challenge is, if not for Ten Hag, Frankie de Jong is not too really keen on this transfer. We need to get that one right.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave.
I think the only reason, because he doesn't want to leave, he believes Barcelona is the right club for him. They are going to play in the Champions League. United, what do you call it, project is something that you don't know where he's going to. And from what we've seen over years, a lot of players they've lost value in terms of who they are coming to United and gaining. So the guy has a lot to fear about. And the third thing is, Barcelona is trying to see how they can get more money from this deal. I think they have a lot of things they want to do. They want to sign Rafinha, they want to sign Lewandowski, they want to, and they are in big mess. So Barcelona is trying to encourage other teams. And I think most importantly, Chelsea, to come and bid and make the transfer more interesting. That even if they are not, even if eventually it's going to go to United, at
They'll
least
get the
United should
maximum
pay more.
amount. Exactly.
Yes, I think at the back of their mind, they are not satisfied with that 65, because they feel either they are selling him below his market value.
Yeah.
They feel they're selling him below his market value. And even if they got that money, it might not be enough for them to still do whatever they want to do.
Prosecute what they want to buy the dead woods that they want to buy.
So I don't know. It's not looking good from all points. I think Barcelona will eventually sell. Number one, due to his salary and the other transfers they want to do. Unless, I think the only miracle here is if De Jong is, what do you call it? Is ready to take a massive pay cut. And why they are doing this is because they feel they have enough talent. It's not like because De Jong is a bad player.
Yeah.
But they think they have enough talent around that area.
Exactly. They have the Gavi, they have the
Gavis, the Pedri, and they feel he's a bit dispensable at this point, not because he's a bad player at all. They just 100%. Feel he's dispensable at this point.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I was supposed to go to Salah next, but I'm not going to go to Salah next. Kachi, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to hold you by the jugular. Rafinha. I said something today. I said Rafinha, if he goes to Barcelona, is just going to be another player at Barcelona. Moving to Chelsea, if TT continues with his formation, he will never get the best out of him. And I will quote Lawale, moving to Arsenal is going to be a direct in a direct competition with Saka. Moving to the right might not help his game as well. But these guys, the only successfully auctioned player in Europe right now, no thanks to Deco, agreeing personal terms with Barcelona in January of this year. Now it wants they admitted, or they prosecuted Arsenal. They enticed Arsenal. That's the right word. They enticed Arsenal towards bidding for him. Arsenal bidded up until I think 45 million pounds with add-on fee to make it about 55 million pounds. And Chelsea came to steal the show with a 65 million pound bid. The player wants to move to Barcelona. He does not want to go to Chelsea. Chelsea has the best offer on the table right now. He has a personal term agreed with Barcelona and he's waiting for Barcelona. And this is where it gets more interesting, Kachi. Barcelona today, I told someone that I've told anybody that cares to listen that Barcelona one day, if they are investigated by EFCC or Interpol, everybody will go to jail. They've come up with a 200 million euros that they will get from selling of the additional TV rights. I don't know where they are getting all this money from and where they are getting all these deals from. For a club that can actually rent out their stadium for weddings, it can't get lower. But back to Rafinha, and of course Deco. The issue of etiquette and ethics comes into play. Looks like Deco he has collected money off this deal, like a gentleman agreement. Quote and unquote, is not a fact. Looks like. And now Rafinha is hanging in balance. Out of these three clubs, or as a matter of fact, let's remove Arsenal from the equation. Arsenal will not be able to match Chelsea. As a matter of fact, maybe Barcelona. Out of these two clubs, which one do you think will be in strict footballing terms? Which one will be the best for Rafinha? Strict footballing terms.
Neither. And sincerely, I say that tongue in cheek, simply because I do have a very funny story, though. I understand that Barcelona are offering 20 million pounds, 4 bags of rice, and a PVC to vote Peter Obi in the next election. Sorry, I said that, but I said neither simply because in Barcelona, like Olawale rightly said, he will be just one of the guys and will not see regular playing time, which I think someone in his caliber needs, which is something he enjoyed in Leeds that led to this type of
hype
attention that he currently receives. Ultimately, it's been very difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but it's been very difficult for people who do not come through La Masia to gel almost immediately when they are transferred. Case in point is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Thierry Henry also did not gel the very first year. He had to eat the humble pie and play mostly from the left, even though, yes, it's his preferred position, but it was a sacrifice because he couldn't move to the middle. He had to strictly stay on the left. And that's why I think it will be a challenge in Barcelona. In Chelsea, it will be a challenge because it's not the style of football he's used to playing. We saw Hakim Ziyech struggle with it. We saw Thomas Pulisic also struggle. Christian Pulisic, I said Thomas. Christian Pulisic also struggle simply because the style of play from where they were coming from was worlds apart from what TT played due to the personnel he has. All this may change if TT gets the personnel to play the kind of expansive football we believe he can play, because we saw him do it in Dortmund, right? But as Chelsea is currently constructed, it will be a difficulty for Rafinha to come in and bed in playing the kind of football that endeared us to him in the first place. That's why I said neither. But let's also not forget that beyond style of football, players now are thinking more commercial than legacy now. That is why a certain Gareth Bale will sit for 3 years and make the money he wants to make, because legacy really doesn't matter to him. I don't know Rafinha's backstory. I don't know whether I was privileged to watch the biopic on Giannis Antetokounmpo and his family over the weekend, and I saw how money could have made Giannis take an entirely different path. Thankfully, he was grounded due to the kind of parenting and upbringing he had. I don't have that kind of information about Rafinha. I don't know if they tell him that Barcelona is only offering 2 T-shirts and 1 short knicker for you. They don't have money. This is money right in front of you. He may take it to the detriment of his footballing style, but in terms of where he would best fit, I think none of the 2 clubs that are probably the biggest options he currently has are the best fit for him. I may be wrong, but that's my opinion.
All right, perfect. Shay, do you agree with Kachi? I think he should be at United. I'm wondering if you are flanking up front, you're flanking the Rafinha and the Jordan Sancho, either side of Cristiano Ronaldo, it's going to be massive. That's my opinion. I stand to be corrected.
Definitely not at Manchester United. I think United
because they don't have the money. No, I'm not talking about in an ideal world.
In an ideal world. Yeah. I understand you, but I still think United's wealth of talent in that particular role is quite enough. I don't see Rafinha doing anything spectacular that the likes of Sancho, Rashford, and probably if we end up getting Anthony, would do at that particular point. So I don't think Rafinha is perfect for Manchester United. But in response to Kachi, I think Rafinha would just be better off playing for Barcelona than Chelsea. And I just think his style of play will suit them better compared to Chelsea. Maybe I'm saying this because of what we saw over and over in the Chelsea team that we saw last season. But I still don't think there will be fantastic or big difference in what we saw in Chelsea last season and this season. So on that note, I think Rafinha is best suited to what is going to bring to the table at Barcelona compared to Titi's Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you very
Can I,
much.
can I
Okay,
just
you
chip
wanted
in
to put
something?
something? Okay, quickly, please.
Yeah, I think all fingers are pointing to him going to Chelsea. There's already an agreement in place for 55 million pounds, although Leeds want 60. Meanwhile, Barcelona, they don't have that money. Again, the terms of the agreement that Barcelona is presenting is that if they buy Rafinha, they will be paying in installments. Meanwhile, Chelsea are ready to pay a substantial percentage upfront. Then finally, looking at the formation, so
Debo,
obviously,
Yeah.
I don't think going to Barcelona. He's going to go to Chelsea. And looking at the formation again, you know, Chelsea just bought Sterling. So I think
They've not bought
Tuchel,
Sterling. Where did they buy Sterling? They've not bought Sterling, no.
it is not confirmed
It's
yet.
not confirmed
It's
yet.
still
okay,
speculation.
let us assume that he goes to Chelsea. I think Tuchel is looking at focusing more on wing play. By the time he buys Rafinha, puts him on the right, buys Sterling, put him on the left. So he probably wants to have alternatives to the diamond formation that Chelsea has always been known for. So
All
for
right.
me, if he's going to go to Chelsea.
Okay, Olale, you want to ask something?
No, I'm just looking at these old transfer with Barcelona. These Barcelona. I'm just what's Barcelona United's problem? Please, somebody should help those two teams out. Barcelona should
They're
just
ambitious. They're ambitious.
Which ambition?
This is not
Barcelona should just accept the fact that they don't have money. They don't have money. The squad they have at hand is not even that bad.
exactly.
You want to go and buy Lewandowski to discard who? Is it Aubameyang? Because I think this whole Lewandowski talk is a bit of disrespect to Aubameyang. In my own thing, this should never be part of. This should even not raise any conversation. You have problem. Maximize what you have on ground. Barcelona has been linked with only God knows for they are doing transfer like fantasy Premier League in their head.
Frank Kessie, Christensen.
Olale,
They are looking for them as well.
Lewy has already built his own coffin. It's just left for him to nail it. And that leads me to the next question I'm going to ask you. Lewy and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo came out over the course of the week to say he doesn't want to play with United again. And I'm wondering, you're 37 years old. You come with a lot of baggage in terms of your weekly wage. Nobody's going to pay that amount for a 37-year-old, except for United, right now.
Except for United,
honestly,
yes.
Except for United, nobody's going to pay you that kind of money.
Honestly,
whatever you think you can bring to the table, I'll rather go buy Lewandowski. Lewandowski can even play. He can play as a 10. So why will I go for Cristiano Ronaldo? And the same goes for Lewy. Lewy is insisting on going to Barcelona that does not have the money to pay for him. And even if they do, they don't even have the money to pay for his wages. And I don't know. Help me make it. Help me make it.
But okay, but I will start from you. As a literature student, you call this a tale of two words. Two is it? Because
two cities.
A tale of two cities. Because the two cases are very. You see, the two cases are very
similar.
It doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't make any kind of sense. Similar.
I think Cristiano Ronaldo need a bit of. Let me start from Cristiano Ronaldo.
Reality check.
Like I said during the production call, I think Cristiano Ronaldo making everything about this transfer request is about him. On the part of United, I think it's an indictment on their old transfer plan. That's for Cristiano Ronaldo. To be fair to him, I think if he was very madly, as if he was very, let me say, desperate to leave United, I think we'll have gotten these hints at the end of May when the season, when we ended the last season. But for it to have waited to this point, I think it was probably looking, to be fair to him, what will United, I'm sure if United had made some couple of big statements in the transfer market, I'm sure probably Ronaldo could have probably say, it's not bad for me to add an Europa League to my title, so. Because for him, for who Cristiano Ronaldo is, everything is about, at the end of my career, even if people feel I'm not as talented as Messi, I think Cristiano Ronaldo wants to have one of the best career ever of any footballer. So any title, any goals is going to count for him at this stage. That is one side. But on the other side is this. If he wants to play in the Champions League, I just can't through the most likeliest team to win the Champions League. As much as we not I don't want to discount the fact that probably that Madrid has moved away from the Galactico era, but I think they have gotten a better, a smarter way of doing their thing. I'm not sure Madrid is going for a Cristiano Ronaldo at this stage of his career.
At 37, no, nobody will go for it.
I'm not sure.
Maybe Napoli.
I'm not sure Messi. I'm not sure
AC Milan.
I'm not sure Man City at this stage. No.
They have
I'm not
Haaland.
sure. I'm not sure Liverpool at this stage.
No way. They have no.
Probably.
We don't
probably.
want
Chelsea.
Probably Chelsea. That is the only team that looks very uncertain when it comes to their number 9. Because as it stands now, the only recognized number 9, who I'm not really convinced Chelsea want to go a whole season with him as a number 9 is Kai Havertz. So, and I think it's going to cause more trouble for that kind of team too, because will Titi be ready to play Ronaldo week in, week out? So for what he's expecting as a player, and from what is good, I don't know whether I can get that kind of that desire from any of these top teams. For Lewandowski, I think he got it wrong completely. Some people said he feel disrespected for the fact that Bayern were romancing publicly with Haaland some couple of years back. So and so.
He needed a successor.
Fine.
He needed a successor. Is he going to stay there for life?
But this Barcelona, it is clear to everybody that this team has financial issues. You don't have to come out like that, because even if Bayern are ready to sell you, they won't just want to sell you for free for Barcelona. Barcelona still have to pay. And if eventually Barcelona doesn't buy him, how do you want to, as in some part of his, what do you call it, of his legacy, or the way the fans in Munich perceive him? Because the only other option for him outside that is for him to is Chelsea.
Yeah,
I think Chelsea looks as the only option. So for both of them,
go back to Dortmund.
Or go back to Dortmund. I think for both of them, Chelsea is the only way out for both of them. Because eventually, I think Barcelona will not put forward a reasonable bid.
Barcelona
can afford to allow him to run his contract out.
Barcelona already said the maximum they will go for him is 42.5 million pounds, euros. I don't know where Barcelona is going to get that money from anyways. But they say that's the highest they will go.
And what they don't realize is Bayern are not that desperate to sell. They can afford to allow him to run down his contract.
Yeah.
So for me, I think for two of them, it's not the smartest move, but their only way out for both of them is Chelsea. So one might end up becoming a loser in this whole drama.
The whole drama. All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Malali. I'm going to come to you now. Salah signed on the dotted line. Highest player in the history of Liverpool. He deserves it 100%. But I'm thinking of something. He had 1 year left on his contract, just like Sadio Mane. And this kind of treatment was not meted out to Mane as well. Why do we have that kind of situation?
I believe it had to do was a matter of numbers. The front three, Salah, Mane, and Firmino, the regular front three. You know, the three of them, then they're 30 years old and they were in their last year of their contract. And chances were that the major two players have always been Mane and Salah. And chances were that if one asks for an improved contract and they break the salary structure of the team or of the club, chances are that they will have to do the same thing for the other player. We saw, honestly, a lot of us saw that coming, but we just could not voice it out because of the uncertainty surrounding it at that time. And I mean, the moment Mane left, I knew that Salah was going to stay, and FSG, they were going to break the bank in order to retain Salah. Then apart from that, he's on £400,000 now. I mean, it's the highest ever. Almost, I think it's the second highest person is DVD Van Dijk on 220, 220, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, now again, it goes beyond the footballing attitude of Salah. I mean, when you read articles about how he has transformed the Liverpool culture, he's seen as a very, very inspirational person, even off the field. You know, his charitable contributions are second to none. Even his attitude when he scores. A lot of fans jokingly they sing it at the Liverpool stadium that if he continues to score like that, they will become Muslims. Because they see that he's such they see him as a source of inspiration both off the field and on the field. And for a player that came in 2017, he hit the ground running. He came in for like £37 million. He became the highest goal scorer in the Premiership the following season, 32 goals. I mean, he deserves to be given such an amount. No disrespect to Mane, but I knew that he had to be either one of them. They could not have afforded to pay the two of them the amount that they paid Salah.
All right, perfect. Just before we round up, we have a whole lot more, probably, but this is a very silent one before we discard the thing. And Kachi, I'm going to start with you. And Haaland or Darwin Núñez, what do you think is going to hit the ground running more, especially for Lawali, that is the ultimate FPL football player last season? He got lucky anyways. But Kachi, I'm going to start with you. Núñez or Haaland?
We had this discussion pre-production. It was, in fact, if I was with my laptop, I probably would have recorded it for the behind the scene. It was really, I enjoyed the analysis and the takes from Olaikan and Shea. But I also have a take, and I see it two ways, right? If it's going to be goals and goals only, I believe Erling Haaland would be at the end of one season would be regarded as a success, at least, or a more successful return than Darwin Núñez, simply because even without a proven striker, we know City creates the most chances based on the type of football they play. And Haaland doesn't need to fit into your style. He just needs to be at the end of all the chances they create, and he will get the goals. But I also wanted to mention that Haaland wasn't really signed simply because he was someone that would fit into a style of play. He was signed as I felt it was a knee-jerk reaction to we don't want Barcelona, we don't want PSG or Real Madrid to have this guy. Then let us get him. It was really a case of we don't want this guy to be in the hands of our other opponents. But conservative or conversely, I believe that when Núñez's signing was more out of proper Liverpool famous scouting. They scouted, and they knew he was going to fit into what Klopp believes in terms of his football philosophy. We've seen attackers come middle of the season twice, I believe, Diego Jota and Luis Diaz, and they fit in like a glove to the hand. And I believe, based on that, in terms of philosophy, Núñez will fit in better. He's going to fit into that front three. I saw him play in Uruguay, and one of the cons that Olaikan had was that it looked to be a static nine and not a fluid forward player. But I saw him play in Uruguay, and he was very fluid, not remaining in one side.
It's not static anyways.
It's not static, exactly. So if it's in terms of goals return, at the end of one season, I believe it will be Haaland. But if it's in terms of philosophy, fitting into the style of play almost immediately, I sincerely believe it will be Núñez. It's make of it what you think. If the end result is goals for you, or if you are still impressed by the aesthetics of
The
the
end,
football
the
game.
end result for me would be goals, because that's what was going to give me the points in FPL. Malale, your take.
Yeah, I've been trying to look at this. Kachi said something about scouting. I could be wrong, but I don't know how much of a scouting was done to sign Nunez, because probably I think that side, I think they both teams met
the Champions
played
League,
Benfica in the
round of
quarterfinal.
16.
Yeah, something I just feel like it's not like I'm not convinced about him, but I just don't think there are a lot of questions around that. Yes, I think it's going to complement Salah in terms of the goals, since there is no money now. And if you look at Diaz style of play, Diaz will not is that I think it's a bit still raw when it comes to scoring of goals. I don't think Diaz will give you the kind of numbers
Mane or Yota will give you too.
Yeah, so but I think there are a lot of questions around the playing time for Nunez. I'm not sure with Jota still in the mix. We should not forget that Firmino is still in that team.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know whether he's going to hit the ground running, whether Jurgen Klopp is going to ease him into the squad gradually. So, but for Haaland, I think Haaland's case is a bit very straightforward and specific. He's going to hit the number 9 position.
Yeah. First stand.
Straight. First stand, and if those City midfielders play to their best, it's going to score a lot of goals. I just feel that Haaland was not probably signed for them to win the league titles, because we've seen Man City winning those 2 league titles without a recognized striker. I think the reason why Haaland was probably signed is because of those. There are some games it becomes very obvious that
you needed a number 9.
You are not winning this game without a number 9. And it might not cost you the league, but those kind of games cost you the Champions League.
Yeah,
because one game is enough for you to be out of the Champions League.
Of course. Typical example would be the game against Chelsea, I think 2 seasons ago in the final.
Exactly, in the final. So I think balancing it, looking at a bit of, because Haaland's role is more specific, and let me say it's more defined, and we know how it is going to go straight into the starting lineup. I think is going to be immediately, probably within the first year, it's going to be the biggest success. Subsequent years, probably, I don't know, but at least this upcoming season is going to be an Haaland show.
All right, perfect. Olayinka, your take before I go to Shay and we'll round up the show.
Okay, first of all, for me, both guys they are tall dudes. Haaland is 6'4", Nunez is 6'2". So hopefully we're going to see a lot of headers from them.
So these guys are not tall.
They are tall.
They are not tall at all. They are just 6'4". They are not tall.
For footballer.
They are not basketballers.
They are not
basketballers.
For soccer, they are tall.
They are tall. They are too tall for soccer.
I'm saying they are not tall.
For soccer, that's what I meant.
Go ahead,
anyway, for me, two key issues. The price tag, and the price tag is going to be a major issue. Haaland is coming in for £54 million. That's a modest fee by all standards. Nunez is coming in at 85 million. A lot is going to be expected from him. A lot of it is going to be on the coach and him as well.
Then
more importantly, we know Haaland's pedigree. He's been scoring goals for 2-3 seasons. Nunez has to prove that he's not a one-season wonder, because before last season, he only scored 13 goals in the previous season. So he has to prove to the whole world that he's not a one-season wonder. And I think he might struggle at first. Haaland, like Wale put it, is going to slot into the Man City lineup whenever is needed. They might want to start with a new structure. Let's start with the natural number 9. So they might play him at first. He's less under pressure. He's going to deliver. We know his pedigree. Nunez, we hope that he delivers. But he has to prove that he's not a one-season wonder.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much. Shay, what about you?
Yeah, from my own aspect, I think Haaland will hit the ground running faster than than Nunes.
Nunes.
Alan seemed to also be a player made for the Premier League. If you look at his physique, his pace, his ability to score in and out of the box, it looks like someone that will also terrorize the English defenders. I mean, the natural English defenders. You know the way they are tall, big, and we recall what the Chelsea striker mentioned when he joined. Seeing the defenders in the EPL alone is for you to know that this is a different ball game. I don't think Alan is going to be, to be bothered by that. He has the pace, he has the power, he has the skill. So I think for me, he's much more of a Premier League striker. Nunes, Olawale just said something that I've not even put into consideration. Nunes will still have to fight for his slot in that Liverpool team. And also, I think him coming into the Premier League, it might still need a little bit of some weeks, some months to fit in, to get into his groove. With all that being said, I think Haaland will just be the man to kickstart the season.
Okay, so you guys are saying I should buy Haaland than Nunes in my FPL.
Exactly.
Okay, I know.
When you look at the prices, I mean, I won't put my money on someone who has
the prices are close.
I won't put my money.
You want us to relegate you from our FPL this week.
I won't put that amount on someone that has not scored 20 goals in 3 seasons. I won't put my money on such a person. That amount is a big risk. I trust club's judgment.
All right.
Club's judgment.
Perfect. I trust club judgment as well. There was an analysis of Klopp and Pep. I'm not comparing them. I don't need your opinion about this. I just want to put it out. What I saw, and I'm like, okay. Klopp went from a relegated men's, bring them back to the bully 13th position. Went to Dortmund with a low budget to win two league and win. Of course, get to the Champions League final as well. Came to a Liverpool or 6th position or 7th position in with their conundrums and took them to this winning position where they become an elite club back. Compared to the schoolboy that has all the money. I'm not saying he should not have all the money, but
are you selling club for us, or what is all this different now?
I'm just telling you what I saw. I was just buttressing what Olayinka said. I said I don't need to open up about it.
You want us to vote for Klopp? Or what is this? You want us to vote for him as the best manager of all time?
That would be laughable.
I wonder.
All right, perfect. I'm pretty sure you guys will take Klopp at your club in an ad bid. So I don't believe
yes, so he rejected us. He said what we tabled in front of him looks like a child going to Disney World to go and play. It's just pure fantasy.
All right, guys, that's the show. My name is Elijah Adeboale. Don't forget to like our page. Don't forget to share and distribute our podcast on your social medias. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next week when we'll have a whole lot more to talk about. Don't stop supporting sports. Have a good one, guys.